The second thing in this lesson was solving absolute value equations. And one thing you have to remember is that when you solve an absolute value, you always get two answers. Now, the problem is that to get two answers, you need two equations, and you only have one equation to start with. So what you do at the very beginning is you take your absolute value equation and you break it into two parts. The first part, you write it exactly the way it looks, just without the absolute value bars. And then the second one, you set it equal to a negative number. So you see right here, I just dropped the absolute value bars and then wrote it the way it looks. On the second one, I wrote it the same way, but instead of equal to a positive 13, I made it a negative 13. So now that we've split it into our two equations, we just work both of these out and we'll get our two answers. So here we go. On the first one, we have n minus 4 equals 13. So we're going to add 4 over. And so we're going to get n equals 17. So there's my first answer. On the second one, I add 4 over. And this time it will be negative 13 plus 4, which will come out to be a negative 9. So my two answers are 17 and 9. And so the way you'll see it on the multiple choice test, the way they'll write it, because this is a set, anytime you have more than one answer, you call it a set, you'll see them write it like this, and then they'll put braces around it like that. But as long as you have the two answers, I'm not too picky about that. Now, on the second one, this one's a little bit different. Now, on this first one, you'll notice we just had an absolute value equal to a number. But on the second one, we have a number outside the absolute value. Now, anytime you have something outside the absolute value, you have to deal with it first. It cannot stay there. You cannot split it into its two parts, into the two equations, until that number is gone. So what we need to do is we need to move the 7 to the other side. Then we can split it into its two equations. So if you look at it, we have 7 times this absolute value. So since it's multiplying, we're going to divide the 7 over. So divide by 7. We get the absolute value of x plus 3 equals, and then 42 divided by 7 would be 6. So now that the absolute value is all by itself, there's nothing outside, we can split it into the two parts. So we have x plus 3 equals 6, and then x plus 3 equals negative 6. So solve both of these. You subtract 3 over on the first one, you get x equals 3. And then on the second one, you subtract 3 over, and then negative 6 minus 3 would give us a negative 9. So your answers would be negative 9 and 3. All right, so that's how you solve absolute value equations. Next up, we'll look at no solution problems.